Our exclusive team coverage of secrecy at the SEC continues right now. Republican Congressman Issa of California demanding answers from the Obama administration about the story we told you earlier this hour, that the new financial regulatory bill, which allows the SEC to withhold important information from us and from you. Congressman Issa joins us now for an exclusive interview. Congressman, thank you for speaking with us today on this. The president.
Well, thank you for shedding light on this. There's nothing more important than us undoing this taking of public access.
Well, Congressman, you know, the president just signed the FinReg bill last week, and all of this for the last year and a half, we've been told by the administration, was about transparency. From our reporting today, it seems to us, and please comment, that the transparency is okay for Wall Street, but the transparency is not okay for the SEC.
Well, absolutely. I'm going to take the president at his word when he talked about this giving more access and more visibility, but very clearly, not just on this, but on the other provisions that the Dodd side stripped out of the bill, all the, if you will, transparency in databases. They've made it harder to get the data. They've created new oversight by the SEC, but no transparency to the public, and particularly no transparency to victims who may want to get more information related to how they were taken by fraud.
Well, Congressman, I mean, a lot of these victims, I mean, we've had all these lawsuits in the past with regards to Mr. Madoff, the Stanford case, obviously. In your opinion, do you think, without Freedom of Information Acts, do you think that it would have been impossible for these victims to be able to shed light on those cases at the time? And what about now? What about the next Bernie Madoff?
Well, you're exactly right. If we don't allow the public to the greatest extent possible to have access, particularly the documents that theoretically should have been part of the public dialogue anyway, and we don't even require the SEC to say why. It's okay under existing law for the SEC to say we have an ongoing investigation. We're not going to give you these matters because they might compromise a criminal investigation. But now they don't need any reason. They simply won't answer. It may be because they don't want to budget the cost. But that's just wrong. It's a step back in the Freedom of Information Act, and it's a step back in this president's promise to have more transparency.
So, Congressman Issa, is that the bottom line? Is for the American people, viewers watching at home, seeing this story, is that how they will be affected the most by way of the lack of transparency when it comes to fraud? Or is there a bigger picture even here for the average American?
It's a much bigger picture for the average American. Freedom of Information Act has opened up amazing amounts of documents in all areas of government. Sometimes people don't like it. They don't like the POGOs and Sunlight Foundation and all these other groups that constantly request information and often use it to embarrass an administration. But they're embarrassing an administration for failures. So if we allow that to go the opposite direction, we do so at our peril. More importantly, Chairman Barney Frank promised me when Chris Dodd's side rejected all of the transparency issues that had been agreed to by the House that he would work on a separate bill to include those and to send it over to the Senate as a freestanding bill. I intend to hold Barney to his promise and include this freeing up of the Freedom of Information Act in the bill. In other words, push back on this being taken out. Ask Barney to join with me to put it back in, to allow access groups. And I would encourage everybody who has any question about it to contact the chairman's office. You know, Barney Frank is in a position to work with me to get a bill over to the Senate very quickly to hold them accountable for what they did wrong in this bill.
Yeah, this is clearly a top-down administration issue. Let me just go back to June of '07, sure. A quote from the president in one of his campaign speeches, where there's a bill that ends up on my desk as president, you, the public, will have 5 days to look online and find out what's in it before I will sign it into law.
And you're saying he did not do that?
No.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
Congressman Issa, response, sir?
Well, there are some times in which a bill can't wait 5 days, but one of this magnitude, or the health care, these other bills, absolutely can wait. And more importantly, we should expect Congress and the administration to go out of their way to make these bills explainable in detail. They've done just the opposite. You know, Speaker Pelosi is famous for saying, we have to pass this legislation so we can find out what's in it. That's not the right way to do legislation, and we've got to stop it. But right now, what's before us is a rollback, a pushback on what used to be the standard for discovery by the public. We've got to reverse that. We've got to reverse it before this Congress goes dark in October.
Congressman, last question to you. Did you know that this provision had been changed when you voted for FinReg?
Well, of course, I voted no, but when
did
I
you
worked
know?
on the no, of course not. I was on the actual conference committee. We spent that week and we found everything we could. But no surprise, there are surprises in this bill. This happens all the time. The unseen hand of some staffer on behalf of some member of the House or Senate. It happens. The real judge for the members of the House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, is will we quickly fix this and fix it before we leave in September or October? My assertion is I'm going to drop a bill within a week. We're going to make every effort to get Barney Frank and others to join with us. But I'm not going home at the end of the session without a bill being signed by the president, or at least bringing down the House if we're not willing to open up freedom of information to the American people, something that's being closed right in front of them.
Congressman, we continue to work this story at Fox Business Network, and we thank you very much for speaking with us today exclusively, Congressman.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, folks.